Alright, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to BOC Gaming. I am your host, BOC X Rated. Welcome. So, interestingly enough, we are less than a week from Christmas. Less than a week from Christmas. And truth be told, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what 2021 has in store for it, considering what we've been through in the last all year. Like, I had to really, you saw how I paused there for a second? I had to legit think about it. Like, damn. We really about to go through that. I'm like, shit. We're fucked. But anyway, this will probably be one of the very few videos I'll do involving Final Fantasy. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I do adore Final Fantasy. I really do. However, I've never been a fan of Square Enix's policies in terms of how, they choose to develop their games, and as well as now, if you guys study video games like I do, or you study Japanese culture, the Japanese culture is while very prominent and very profitable to of its people, of course, not saying that in a descriptive way, for the record. No racism is intended, none of that. I do not condone any of that. I'm saying that just for the purpose. I've been to Japan, okay? Japan, they pride themselves in literally getting between every fine print, between the fine print, and even between of the fine print. So it's like every nook and cranny of something, it has to be done. So like the very fabric of something that could easily be, like, if they have the mindset, like the slightest thought, like, okay, this could be off, they're gonna go right back and check it. That's how prominent it is when it comes to Japanese developers, which is pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with that. However, Final Fantasy XVI, I don't know what to say to that one. Definitely didn't expect that. And honestly, considering how long we waited for Final Fantasy 15, I'm like I said in the beginning, like, I'm not about to really wrap my head around, Final Fantasy 16 being a thing for a good minute. And when I say a good minute, I mean, want to say at least 2023 at most. Because, like, checking information behind it, like, they started developing Final Fantasy 16, like, shortly after the final DLC for Final Fantasy 15. So, and like I said, up until this point, it's been 4 years since Final Fantasy 15 came out, and before 15 came out, it was about 10 years. So you adding up the time, we're looking at a game that probably is not going to come out until, like, thoroughly after, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series have already been out for, I want to say, at least a good year. You know what I'm saying? I imagine seeing more information of this game. Well, obviously, like, if you guys have seen the website, if you haven't, I'm gonna put the thumbnail, well, not the thumbnail, the link for you guys, so that way you don't gotta type it, you can just click it and you can see for yourself. But all credit to what I'm saying right now is that I'm actively looking at the website right now, and we have a message from the developers, which from both producer Naokoi Yoshida, hopefully I didn't butcher that name, as well as director Hiroshi Takai. Now, if you don't know who these two guys are, they actually worked very closely with Tetsuya Nomura on Final Fantasy 15, as well as produced for Kingdom Hearts 3. In fact, Naoki Yoshida actually was producer of Kingdom Hearts 3's DLC, Remind. So, I'm gonna read this for you guys. Message from the developers, and again, if you guys, I'm not capping, I'm not trying to be funny here, I'm not clout chasing, this is legit on the website. Like I said, the website link is in the description box, so you guys can check that out for yourself. I'm not exaggerating here. Back to it. 16 producer, yes, it says that's right, just producer this time. Naokoi Yoshida here. How did you enjoy the trailer? The exclusive footage comprised of both battles and cutscenes running in real time represents but a fraction of what our team has accomplished since the start of its development on this all new Final Fantasy game. In that time span, which in this case has been about going on 4 years, the team size has grown from a handful of core members, which, like I said, came from Final Fantasy XV immediately after that, into a full-fledged unit that continues to polish and build upon what they have created so far, all to provide players an experience unmatched in terms of story and gameplay. Okay, and he continues, our next big information reveal is scheduled for 2021. Gonna get into that after I read this. So in the meantime, I expect everyone to have fun speculating, as we have a lot in store, but not only for the newest entry in the Final Fantasy series involving 16, but for Final Fantasy 14 as well. Needless to say, I'll be working hard on both. Sincerely, producer Naoki Yoshida. So that right there, just the beginning statement of that right there. As far as coronavirus is concerned, and like I said, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that try to pay attention to these very, very big profile conventions that come out in between the summer and the end of the year, let us be clear on something. The two major events that are planned for every year, in my case at least, are E3 as well as the Tokyo Game Show. So one, if not both of those events, could possibly have information for the title. And by that point, considering E3 was pushed back, obviously we know why, and as well as the Tokyo Game Show, but they did their little virtual thing, and even E3 did their little virtual thing. So likely they're going to do that again this year too. So only time will tell. But with that statement in mind, that is only the tip of the iceberg that I'm climbing here for you guys. And this next little note that we got from director Hiroshi Takai is definitely going to cement what I'm saying to you guys. Says here, when Final Fantasy I was released, I was just another player, a young student with big dreams. By the time Final Fantasy V was in the works, I had earned myself a seat at the developer's table, a bit at the very end. From there, I moved online, leaving my mark on both Final Fantasy XI and 14. Again, I'm going to cover all of that when I get to the end. From the establishment of an all-new development environment to learning the ins and outs of the PlayStation 5, the team and I have taken upon countless challenges during our journey to bring the 16th chapter of the storied Final Fantasy series. Although we're pouring our hearts and souls into this project each and every day, it may be still some time before we can get our hands on it. However, I promise the wait will be worth it. Sincerely, Hiroshi Takai. So again, getting back to what I said at the very beginning of this video, we're not going to see Final Fantasy XVI at least for another year or two. And considering they've been working actively on 16 since 2017, which was right after the initial release of 15, they have been hard at work with this game for at least now 3, and then counting 2K21, 2K22, and then counting 2K23, would equal to about 6 years of development. Should the game information should change, obviously we all know that this subject information is liable to be changed considering the time frame. You know, whatever amount of time shit could happen, you never know. But he does ensure us that the game he promises will be worth the wait. So, like I said, virtual E3 2K21, virtual Tokyo Game Show 2K21. Likely we're going to see something about that. However, what both individuals have clearly stated, they've provided a lot of information for us, and even Yoshida Senpai even dictates that he expects everyone to have fun speculating, and because they have a lot in store. So it's a whole lot of stuff that I would sit here and go through, but save that for another video, maybe. Yeah, maybe, because honestly, played all of Final Fantasy 15. Too many endings. Drove me crazy. As if I wasn't already crazy. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 14. You know, back when I got my first computer, back when I literally, like, I lied to y'all not, like, in 2014 was the year I prospered in terms of my finances, and I was actually very excited about that. So yeah, I played up until about level 15 for Final Fantasy 14. You know, and when I got my PlayStation 4, I continued it for a little while. But man, that was a long ass time ago. What feels like eternity. And ironic, Final Fantasy 16 had not even been released yet around that point too. But what I can say about the game so far, definitely, if you guys watch the trailer, it definitely gives you Final Fantasy 14 vibes. Like, I feel like, and what bothers me is that they're putting it on PlayStation 5. Now, that throws me off a little bit, because considering what they did with 15, or original, as it was called originally, versus 13, honestly, I thought they was gonna put it on both consoles, or at least on PC. You know, at least PS5 and PC, or the Xbox Series and PS5. I don't shoot me in the comments. I'm just saying, but I don't know. Like, there's a lot. The concept art that I'm looking at is very beautiful. I love it. I really do. Like, I would not mind if the limited edition version of this game came with that art book, because I can honestly see rocking that shit on a t-shirt, because that looks lit. You feel me? And the characters are just, like, beautifully drawn. Like, it really vibes me out. Like, I don't know, man. It just feels good. It feels good to see these characters, but when you get past the concept that you're not going to possibly be able to play them until at least 2023, I don't know, dude. Like, it's definitely it's an extension of itself, and I can't be mad. I'm not mad. I mean, I can wait. Don't get me wrong. I've been a fan of Final Fantasy since 2004, because I remember first time I played Final Fantasy, I played Final Fantasy 3. Yeah. And then I leveled up to Final Fantasy 7, and that's just when submitted it. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that Final Fantasy 16 is with it or not with it? Is it trash, or is it a trash, or is it grab? Honestly, I feel like it's a grab, because a PlayStation title of that caliber and the extended amount of time that they took to develop it, considering that these two individuals worked hard on both 15, 14,